In the year 1683, Europe faced a crisis of monumental scale. For centuries, the Ottoman Empire had expanded outward from Anatolia into Asia, Africa, and deep into Europe. After conquering Constantinople in 1453, the Ottomans continued to push westward, gradually absorbing territories in the Balkans and establishing themselves as the dominant power in southeastern Europe. Vienna, the capital of the Habsburg Empire, stood as the symbolic barrier guarding the heart of the continent. Ottoman leaders believed that capturing Vienna would open the gates to Central and Western Europe, potentially leading them to the long-envisioned prize, Rome itself. By the 17th century, the Ottoman Empire still possessed formidable military and political strength. Sultan Mehmed IV, who ruled at the time, entrusted his Grand Vizier, Kara Mustafa Pasha, with the task of seizing Vienna and delivering a sweeping victory. In the spring of 1683, Kara Mustafa assembled an enormous force, estimated between 150,000 and 200,000 soldiers. This army included elite janissaries, skilled cavalry units, artillery forces, and engineers trained in siege warfare. Their approach across Hungary caused widespread fear and devastation as town after town fell and civilians fled ahead of their advance. The empire was moving not merely to raid or pressure Europe, but to conquer and reshape it. Vienna prepares to withstand the storm. The Habsburg Emperor Leopold I, realizing the overwhelming strength of the Ottoman army, withdrew to safer territory along with much of the imperial court. The defense of Vienna was left in the hands of Count Ernst Rüdiger von Starhemberg, a commander of steel resolve and strategic experience. However, Starhemberg had fewer than 20,000 defenders to oppose the Ottoman force, many times their number. The city's fortifications were strong, but without reinforcements, Vienna's chances of survival seemed slim at best. On July 14, 1683, the siege began. Ottoman artillery opened fire, sending waves of cannonballs into the walls and buildings of Vienna. Towers crumbled, gates splintered, and homes were destroyed. Yet the bombardment was only one part of the Ottoman strategy. Their engineers began digging tunnels beneath the city walls, filling them with gunpowder, in hopes of blowing open massive breaches. Viennese soldiers quickly set to work on countertunnels, creating a hidden and deadly war beneath the city. Men fought in the dark with knives, axes, and bare hands, trying to prevent explosions that could doom the city above. Inside Vienna, conditions deteriorated rapidly. Food supplies dwindled with each passing week. Disease spread among both soldiers and civilians, and the once thriving city became a place of hunger, desperation, and exhaustion. People rationed stale bread, and many resorted to eating whatever creatures they could find. The air was thick with smoke and the constant thunder of cannon fire. Yet despite their suffering, the citizens and soldiers did not surrender. Priests offered prayers and encouragement, reminding the defenders that help might be on the way. Hope became the city's most valuable resource. The call for unity across Christian Europe. Outside the besieged walls, diplomatic efforts moved with urgency. The fall of Vienna would not be a local tragedy, but a continental turning point. The Pope recognized the gravity of the situation and urged Christian rulers to unite. German states, Austrian forces, and various European leaders pledged military support. However, the most decisive response came from the north, the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. At its head was King Jan III Sobieski, a ruler celebrated not only for his military genius, but also for his personal courage and sense of duty. Sobieski understood that Vienna's fall would place Poland itself in mortal danger. Without hesitation, he began assembling an army and preparing for a campaign that would become legendary in European history. Among Sobieski's forces were the renowned Winged Hussars, heavy cavalry whose reputation for shock combat had earned them recognition across the continent. These cavalrymen were instantly recognizable by their gleaming armor and the distinctive wooden frames attached to their backs, adorned with feathers. Whether these wings served primarily as psychological warfare or as symbols of elite status remains debated, but their presence on the battlefield created a sight that appeared almost supernatural. When the Winged Hussars charged, They did so with an impact capable of breaking entire enemy formations in a single devastating strike. March to Vienna and the gathering of forces. The journey to Vienna was difficult, crossing mountain passes and rugged landscapes, yet Sobieski drove his army forward with unwavering determination. Meanwhile, Starhemberg and the people of Vienna continued to endure scarcity and destruction, holding on for any sign of hope. The siege had reached a critical point. Ottoman tunneling operations were nearing success. One more major breach might have been enough to finally overwhelm the city. Then, in early September, the relief army arrived. The sight of Allied banners appearing on the hills to the north of Vienna breathed life back into a city close to collapse. The coalition army, composed of Austrians, Bavarians, Saxons, and Poles, gathered on the heights of the Kahlenberg. There on the morning of September 12, 1683, King Jan III Sobieski led a solemn mass before battle. As the early light spread across the valley, Sobieski is said to have uttered words in the spirit of Julius Caesar. "I came, I saw, and God will conquer." The battle that decided Europe. The battle began with infantry assaults. German, Austrian, and Bavarian soldiers advanced into the Ottoman positions, engaging in fierce combat. Muskets fired in rapid succession, sabers clashed, and the fields surrounding the city were filled with smoke and chaos. Ottoman forces responded with their elite units, fighting fiercely to repel the attackers. However, after 2 months of siege, the Ottoman army was exhausted, disorganized, and spread across a sprawling encampment. Kara Mustafa Pasha struggled to maintain order, but confusion rippled through his ranks. By late afternoon, the moment that would determine the outcome arrived. King Sobieski gave the signal for the cavalry charge. From the forested slopes, nearly 18,000 horsemen surged forward in a single, overwhelming formation. The Winged Hussars led the descent, their lances leveled, their wings catching the wind. The thunder of hooves rolled across the battlefield like an earthquake. When they struck the Ottoman lines, the impact was immediate and catastrophic. The Ottoman formations broke. Soldiers fled in panic. Artillery positions were abandoned. The camp, once a symbol of imperial discipline and grandeur, became a scene of chaos and rout. As night fell, the gates of Vienna opened. The defenders and the relief army embraced each other with tears, prayers, and shouts of gratitude. The siege had been broken. Vienna had survived, the collapse of Ottoman ambitions, and the turning of history. Kara Mustafa Pasha retreated, but the failure was too great to be forgiven. Returning to Ottoman territory, he faced the wrath of the Sultan and was executed later that same year. The defeat at Vienna marked the beginning of the Ottoman Empire's long decline in Europe. In the following years, the Holy League pushed the Ottomans back, reclaiming territories that had been under their control for decades or even centuries. The balance of power had shifted. The legacy of Vienna and the symbolism of victory. The Siege of Vienna left a lasting cultural legacy. According to tradition, the croissant was invented in Vienna to celebrate victory by mimicking the Ottoman crescent symbol. Meanwhile, sacks of coffee found in the abandoned Ottoman camp gave rise to Vienna's famous coffeehouse culture. Whether these stories are embroidered with legend or rooted entirely in truth, they reflect the deep emotional importance of the victory. The Siege of Vienna endures in history not only as a military triumph, but as a defining moment when European states united to prevent a civilizational tipping point. It was an event shaped by endurance, strategic brilliance, and extraordinary courage. The city that seemed destined to fall instead became the place where history turned, ensuring that Europe's future would unfold along the path we know today. And that was the story of the Siege of Vienna in 1683, an event that changed the direction of European history forever. If you found this video informative or inspiring, don't forget to give it a like and hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay curious, stay learning, and keep exploring history.